They told her that it was just part of aging and that chronic disease was a life sentence. But at age 61, Coach Juliet Edens decided to rewrite the script. After reversing her own type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and depression through proper human nutrition, she didn't just stop at healing herself. She became a certified health coach and personal trainer to show the world that your 60s can be your strongest decade yet. Today, we're diving deep into her incredible transformation, her relentless fight to find the truth behind her daughter's IBD misdiagnosis and why she believes you should never, ever give up on your health. You're watching the Kiltz Health live stream with Dr. Nelson. Let's get started.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. I appreciate it. I am Coach Juliet
Hello,
Edens.
everyone. Uh,
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
That's okay.
was connecting my
Oh,
hearing earphones. How are you doing, Juliet?
I'm doing great today. Thank you so much.
All righty.
And I
Uh,
started without you. I told them, thank you for coming. I'm Coach Juliet Edens. Thank you for the introduction. When I hear the introduction, it's hard to believe. Is he talking about me?
okay.
But he is, and it's all true. Um,
Uh,
as I aged mainly, and back then aging was 55 plus, I found myself just a mess. And what do I mean by that? Every seemed like 6 months that I go to my doctor, I got one of those diseases that my doctor was called it's just aging. It's just aging. He was even a little perplexed because I ate vegetables, low fat. I didn't eat much red meat. I ate chicken. I meal prepped those bodybuilder meals with rice and broccoli and really dry, nasty chicken. I did it all correctly. I worked out. I trained at a gym. I did it all right. Yet here I was aging, and I had high cholesterol, by the way. I don't think I've ever mentioned that. I had what was considered over 200 for LDL as high cholesterol. Again, my doctor was, it's just genetics and aging. It's because I kept saying, what can I do? What can I do? As he gave me another pill. He didn't put me on statins, though. I I was the high blood pressure. It continually got higher and higher every year. And he would say, just reduce your stress. And I'm like, I have depression, which got worse as I aged. I'm lying around all day except for work, sleeping a lot. There's not a lot of stress going on. But, the doctor, and he didn't know. He only knows what he was educated. I don't blame him. Um, I think an IBD, IBS was a big factor in my life. The more I added those fresh fruits and vegetables, sometimes going almost, vegan and almost eliminating meat, the worse my IBS got to the point. And the main part was pain, extreme pain for hours. And sometimes, and very often, it was last minute cancellations with plans. Perhaps we're having friends over or going out to dinner with my husband, and I just couldn't go. I couldn't eat, and I was in such severe pain. I did all the over the counter stuff and, uh, you know, laxatives even to make the pain go away, and nothing really helped. My reflux was something I didn't even think about. It was just part of my life. And I would say I took over the counter meds for reflux at 4, 5, 6 a day. Easy. I I kind of knew maybe foods like tomatoes were triggering, but I didn't want to give up my tomatoes from my garden. The one of the last things that crushed me and my psyche was becoming diabetic. I watched everyone in my family, including my dad, get diabetes in their late 50s and 60s. And dad went on to get Alzheimer's, very severe, very advanced at age 58. So I saw him kind of eat junk food, and I just sat there getting more depressed. Okay, I have all these diseases of aging, just like my dad, and next is Alzheimer's. And that was a big factor in me sort of researching what can I do. I fell into carnivore quite by accident. I knew all about keto and I knew about zero carb. I watched the people years and years ago, the crazy people doing this, trying this. And it wasn't until a nutritionist said, Juliet, you probably need an elimination diet. And I'm like, what is that? It really, I didn't know that how uneducated I was. And she said, well, because your IBD is so bad, we have to find the trigger. So once a week, eliminate one food for a couple of weeks and see how you do. And my reaction was, hell no, I am not patient, first of all. And I ate such a variety of food. I just didn't want to, I didn't want to do it. So I looked up elimination diet on YouTube. And of course, what did I come across? Dr. Baker was absolutely the first and love him. But at the time, honestly and truly, maybe like many of you, I thought, you are insane. This is insane. This is not, no, 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 not happening. I don't really know why. I didn't like vegetables, but I just thought it was weird. It wasn't something for me. I was weird enough. I didn't need more weirdness. And of course, there was Ken Berry and then Dr. Kiltz. And I kept going back to him. I kept going back and listened and listened and listened, and then started a little research on my own, not the research I learned to do today. And I'm like, okay, I will silently try this thing. I didn't tell even my husband. Today's our 33rd anniversary, by the way. I did not,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations.
I didn't even tell him. I didn't tell anybody because I thought I'm going to do this crazy thing for 30 days. And if I told them, they honestly would probably think, oh, another thing you're not going to stick to as far as eating. One day I'd be like, well, I'm changing my diet. So I I planned on doing it for 30 days. At the same time, I had some bladder issues and an infection that ultimately turned out to be a month of bladder bleeding. After much testing, it was found that it was due to weight training or something like that on the inside. So I'm fine. But during that whole month, I I started carnivore strict, 100% cold turkey, and was not eating enough fat the first couple of weeks. And I felt horrible. I just stayed in bed, and I thought, as did my family, I had bladder cancer and I was dying. That's what we assumed it was. But it was just, if you go from eating whatever, lots and lots and lots of carbs, to zero carb overnight, uh, I think most of you will feel it for a couple of weeks, and you doubt yourself, you doubt the eating plan, you start to doubt everything. But you hit that 2-3 week mark, and then it's like, oh my gosh, things are changing. And for me, they changed quickly. I'd like to add, when I started carnivore, almost a year and a half now, I can't believe time has flown. I was also an alcoholic. I drank probably a bottle of wine each and every night, and I never skipped. Even when I had to have a colonoscopy, they said clear liquids are okay. So I just drank white wine
Clear wine.
before my. Mhm. I mean, that's the addiction, and I knew that. Like, I wasn't in denial, I just didn't wanna deal with it, among other things. Uh, but once I was carnivore, and I don't remember my carniversary because I was never planned to keep doing this or even telling anybody. Um,
Do you have
a
an
few months,
approximate month?
I think it was, to the best of my family could put together, it was around October, November 2024.
Okay.
Definitely before that, because they remember at Thanksgiving, they remember at Christmas, and they all knew by then. And I was feeling much better. I mean, I was between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so that's what we pieced together. Um, it took me a couple months to try to quit alcohol, and um, I didn't really have to try. Just one, hi, super chat. One day I just said, I'm going to try to stop and see. I tried so many times, but I felt like I needed it to wind down. I couldn't do it on my own after work. So one day I just stopped, and literally for 2 days of being a little uncomfortable, not being able to fall asleep after, a hard day's work, I gave it up for good. And you're the doctor, but I always think that because I was carnivore for a couple months, the ketones, the brain health and clarity I received probably is what made alcohol easier to stop, because I could not stop the prior 10 years ever. I mean, everybody knew me, oh, red wine Juliet, and I got gifts of red, it was sort of the joke, that I'd laugh along with, you know. Um, so very quickly, one of my favorite stories is, you go into this and you hear all the stories, and I watched very quietly. I was very quiet behind the scenes for a long time, and you just knew it was true. Like, these were real people, but I didn't believe it for myself. Like, okay, I'll do this. What I love about this is my depression lifted, my skin looks better, I feel better, I feel smarter. Like, I am not forgetting things like I was at age 59. I'm 61, I'll be 62 shortly. 59, you would have thought I was an average 75-year-old. We forget things. That is can be part of aging. I couldn't remember my daughter's name. I called her by the cat. So, but that's the first thing I noticed. Like, I was remembering and retaining and able to study better, or when I'd look something up. But I didn't think things would happen to me and as quickly. The first thing I noticed is I was on high blood pressure medication, and I shared this story before. I was going about my day when I went into, thank goodness it was a mom and pop store, very small. I went into the store and immediately almost fell to the ground. I held myself up, and there was a kind person, that woman that sat me down. She was very concerned, and she's like, "Did you eat?" I said, "No, I just ate." I knew immediately it was my blood pressure, though. I could tell immediately. Once I got better, I drove home, took my blood pressure, and I couldn't believe how low it was. Now, I was still on meds. I immediately called my doctor, and I'm like, "My blood pressure is low. And here's what happened." And he said, "Okay, get off the blood pressure medication immediately." I'm like, "Okay." And I said, I'm doing a carnivore diet." And he ignored me. This was over the phone. And he just did say a word. And I tested every day, and my blood pressure was like it was in my 30s, which always ran a little low, and it still is. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. So that kept me going. The next thing was my I was not insulin type 2 diabetic at all. I was on metformin, but my I never recall my fasting insulin or getting one, or what the results were. I switched doctors. But when I was diagnosed,
Well,
my
I can
fasting,
tell you that most doctors do not check fasting
I don't think
insulin.
they did.
Should they? They should, absolutely, 100%. If you're dealing with a type 2 diabetic, you should be checking fasting insulin. Nobody
I,
does.
100%.
That's
I do
go
know my
ahead.
fasting glucose was usually like 160, 180, and it would just rise every year until, my doctor's like, it's inevitable. But he literally said, I probably have this in a text. You're good. When I was 54, he goes, you're good for a few more years. You're just not, you're at 130 fat. You're good for a few years until you get diabetes. It's like, okay. And anyway, my fasting, my A1C now, had it checked a few months ago, getting my own labs. My A1C is great. My glucose is pretty solid. It's really never over 100. I don't test anymore. I feel great. So those are things that sound too good to be true, but they are the main things. And last but not least was getting off of Prestige. That was the last depression medication. And I don't know that I was on 200 a day, and I think that's probably a pretty high dose. I don't know that that's always recommended. And that took a long, under a doctor care, never, ever, ever try that alone. Any type of mental, depression, anxiety, whatever, it's super important. You tell your doctor for all of it. And that took me probably 8, 9 months wean off period. That was a little hard, but I don't take any meds right now. People ask me, what do I take? I take K2 and I take vitamin D. But you probably notice I have like football. It was sunny yesterday in Missouri, 75, and I got out in that sun for an hour and enjoyed every moment. So I do get vitamin D tested here and there, and it's pretty good levels. So I just take vitamin D more in the winter when I can't get out in the sun as much. So that's a question I get all the time.
So I got a couple of questions and comments. You mentioned, among other things, gastroesophageal reflux, right? And most people think, oh, I'm having reflux. I'm having this burning heartburn, you know, the, that suggests you're having reflux. Let me take a medication because that's what's going to help it. There must be something wrong with me. Well, most people that have reflux do not have anything wrong. There could be a few people that have uh, hiatal hernias and they can become severe. And but this is only the exception. It's not most people. Most people just are eating something probably, and it's almost 99.9% of the time something in your diet
Mhm.
that is usually coming from plants that's causing this. And it could be a number of things. You identified tomato sauce, I believe, among other
Yes,
things.
yes.
But how long did it take once you went carnivore to stop having symptoms of reflux?
I have a story. So I was scoped and everything. I did go to a doctor care and make sure there was, nothing wrong. So this was diet related. I had a hernia repair many, many years before, and after I didn't have the reflux. Reflux developed over years. So I thought reflux was caused that I had too much stomach acid. That's what I thought. Then
We're
I
supposed
I
to have a lot of stomach
I
acid.
know. I thought I had too much. That I made that up. Okay,
Uh,
things we make up. Anyway, so when I started carnivore, it seemed to get better, but it didn't go away. And the true story is, people uh, um, on these lives and stuff said try apple cider vinegar. So I did. I would put a little apple cider vinegar in a glass of water and drink that. So carnivore helped relieve it within 1 to 2 months, but not make it go away. So I was doing the apple cider vinegar once or twice a day, not much, tablespoon, big glass of water, and that worked. And but I still would get it on rare occasion. And then, thanks to this community and my doctor pals, they said, Juliet, why don't you try not drinking with your meals and not guzzling so much water, especially at night? I was still of that bodybuilding training world that we need to walk around with a gallon of water with electrolytes. It was that one simple thing. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I stopped guzzling the water to get some measurement in that even carnivore I thought I needed. And I went on a trip in, I believe, July 2025 to Florida, and I didn't carry my apple cider vinegar. And it wasn't until I got back 2 weeks later, I'm like, I don't have reflux anymore. So I don't know what it was cured through carnivore because I just kept up with the apple cider. I don't need it. I haven't used it, what, 6, 7 months. I don't
and
have any reflux
and
ever.
most people are going to improve with just a couple of little things, like don't drink a lot of fluids with your meals. Years ago, I couldn't have a meal without having 38, 32 to, I don't know, 40 ounces of water guzzling through it. Don't drink water, any fluids, or very little with your meal, and avoid eating within 3 to 4 hours of going to bed.
Exactly.
Those are simple. Will that improve 100% of the people? Maybe not, but it is remarkable how the symptoms go away. And if you eliminate everything that's causing some sort of irritation, that will be helpful as well. You
Yeah.
also mentioned IBD, IBS, or diabetes, and you haven't mentioned autoimmune, but I'm going to lump it here. Very often, those things will improve, including your blood sugars and prediabetes, diabetes, by changing your diet. Very low carbohydrate diet or carnivore diets will certainly help with those things. Um, and I want to remind everybody that's watching, please put in the comments. I know some of you did already, where you're watching from, number one. Number two, your questions for Juliet. I want to have questions from the audience about her story, about what she's talking about. Uh, so you're 61 and you've changed your diet. You said, okay, I want to learn more.
Hmm.
And you are now a Kiltz Health certified coach.
Yeah.
Um, what made you do that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think where this journey has taken me. But when you feel good and your brain fog clears, even if you don't have brain fog, you don't realize you may not be thinking as clear uh, until you change that diet. And when I heard that Dr. Kiltz was offering a first ever coaching program, my mind went, I want to help everyone else. I had this little YouTube channel. I wanted to get the word out as much as possible, but it was a little baby YouTube channel. So I thought, how can I help others? And when the Kiltz Health and Coach up came up, I thought, that's it. I often tell this story. Many of you have heard it. Prior to carnivore, a few months, my husband and I went to our financial planner to find when we could retire. And, in the discussion, the financial planner said, well, Julie, my husband wants to volunteer and build homes and help the homeless and all these wonderful things. Those of you that know Doug know that he has a good heart. And he said, what do you want to do, Juliet? And I just said, I just want to sit in a lounge chair and watch Netflix. And the financial planner laughed, thinking I was joking. And my husband looked at him dead serious and said, no, my wife's very serious. That was my goal in life. None of what my husband wanted to do sounded interesting. When you don't feel good, when you hurt, and I didn't even talk about the minor aches and pains from bodybuilding. I had a shoulder tear, aches and pains every day. You just want to sit in the room. Some of us, that was my goal. And yes, when the coaching came up, I was like, that's what I want to retire into. Um, when I turned 62, which is just a few months, uh, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. So that's why I signed up and was accepted for the very first coaching class. And I talked about it recently in Tampa. This is not, it's run by many in the background, but led by Dr. Nelson. So there's my plug for you. A doctor runs this, a doctor answers your questions in the Kiltz Health. Sorry, I have to take a break and give a plug. We learned so much about the science, and it wasn't, you have to memorize this. We learned, we wrote, we were questioned and quizzed, but for hours, every single week, we'd have the time with not only Dr. Nelson, but other doctors as special guests to help us truly understand in layperson's terms how cholesterol impacts the body, how diets impacts the body, the physiology of the body. The training was unsurpassed where that's concerned. And, the learning was just amazing. And I craved more. So I continue to read more and buy the big expensive, this is one you recommended, I believe, Doctor, The Ketogenic Science of Therapeutic Carbohydrate Restriction, one of a great book for all coaches. And not only did we learn a lot about the science and everything else, we also learned about marketing and the laws, what coaches can and cannot do, practice coaching, how do you work with clients. So we learned a great deal, and I was proud to say, I think it was October 2025, I passed and became certified, and I proudly display that right behind me. Um, and
Well,
I think for one thing for people, and I'll stop the plugs because I don't think that's the intention here. But one thing I find with clients, or even when I hired a coach well before carnivore, I wanted them to give me a diet plan, tell me what to eat, when to eat it, how much, and I'll follow it. And really, that's not our philosophy, because that's just another diet. And many of us have been on 1,000 diets. If we could just follow this, a diet someone handed to us and made us do. As coaches, it's with Kiltz, it's not about the nutrition alone. It's important, and you understanding why it's important as we educate, very important. But sometimes we have hormonal issues, insulin resistance. We talked about diabetes, what fat loss stalls, the cause of that, sleep, sunlight. There's so much more to Kiltz coaching than here's your plan, go follow it. Oh, and here's a weight training plan if you want it to, which we don't give workout plans on Kiltz Health, but as a certified trader, you know, um, and I'm just proud because I'm very lucky to be a part of that. So it's very
well,
exciting, you can tell.
thank you very much. And like you said, there's a lot of people involved behind the scenes in putting that together. So, on
Yes.
behalf of all of them, thank you. Now, I want to take a few minutes because I know you want to talk about this, uh, about your daughter and what happened with her. Give us a brief summary of what she was suffering from and how were you
Mhm.
able to help.
Just kind of a quick story. Um, Many those that follow me know my husband is not carnivore, and my daughter, who lives locally, is definitely, I would say, 95% carbs. So, she lives on pasta, or she lived certain foods, and she had about 5 foods she could eat because at honestly, from being a really little girl, she always had stomach issues, to the point there's things I didn't learn till way later in life. She was very popular, had a lot of friends, but at lunchtime, she would eat her safe foods and spend the whole playtime where all the other 7, 8, 9-year-olds went outside. She'd go in the bathroom for the whole time period. I didn't know that as a mom. It's like she grew up always having issues. So to her, she knew she was different and she managed them in her ways. But it's really sad to hear, her story when she retold. to me as she grew older. She scheduled all her high school classes around when she thought she would need to go to the bathroom. So if she, and even as a college professor and practicing back when she was earning her master's, she would eat or not eat all day to avoid going into class and having bowel issues. The bowel issues can be extraordinary, excruciating pain. That gut is tied to the sensory of the brain that senses pain. Um, Constant diarrhea, just all kinds of problems. The reason it's so important is if you have these symptoms, it took her years and years to get a proper diagnosis. And the reason is she was very young. She does have colitis, collagenous colitis, not the ulcerative colitis, but it took many years to have that diagnosed because she was very young when it started, which is maybe a little unusual. And the doctors never really tested her. They always said, do an elimination, get rid of milk. She would come back with nothing until she got so sick as a late teen, I think 18 or 19, that Mama Bear packed her up and took her to Mayo Clinic. And there we had, we stayed there for a couple of weeks. We went once per week and then back, and she learned a lot. She was properly diagnosed through a colonoscopy, which should have been done, but there weren't any pediatric gastro around my small area of Springfield, Missouri. Okay, so she's diagnosed. She had a really bad bout when she lived in New York. I wasn't around. I don't know how bad it was. I only knew what she told me, and she was an adult and she was treated, but she went through a really bad bout. She's like mom. She's skinny by nature, could eat anything. But it got to the point where she was, age 22, probably 5'5", maybe 85 pounds. It was not disordered eating at all. You could guarantee you that, but it was, I can't eat, get my master's, student teach, and deal with this. So she chose very often not to eat or eat at night, and sometimes not be able to make class. I'll jump forward. They know, my daughter knows how I eat. I'm the coach. Nobody listens to me, and I don't push it. And she had a really bad bout. The symptoms, it's always there. It doesn't go away for her, but you could go in remission with the symptoms. But she had a really bad bout, maybe a month or 2 months ago, and she was literally hospitalized for it, which is unusual. But she could not manage the pain at home, and she moved in, and by the grace of God, the gastro, we waited for a specialist. I knew we're stuck at emergency room. It's a Friday night. I knew we needed to wait for a specialist. And so they did the diagnostics. And the first thing he said to her was, okay, you need to stop the veggies. No veggies, no dairy, no seeds, no nuts. I forget the list, but he went, do. And she's sitting next to me, and she just looked at me and smiled, going, I'll be eating like you, Mom. That very day, she started eating high-fat carnivore. Uh, she asked me a lot of questions, and I provided those answers. I didn't want to push it. And we're 2 months in, doctor, and she is still 100% carnivore, not interested in trying anything else. But not only is she in remission with any pain or any symptoms, for the first time in her entire 28 years, she is also put on the back burner writing a book and things like that. She has started her book. She has published a poem. We're talking 60 days. She won't go on camera, but she looks wonderful. Her weight is average for a 28-year-old. And every day we're fighting over the beef butter. I think she likes chicken. So lots of chicken on her part, but she throws butter on it.
It's probably
So
okay. And
yeah, it's
so,
better than before.
and this is the thing about our friends and family, our children. I mean, most of us that have children, our advice is 100% what we think at the time is the very best thing, and we would never give an advice that would harm them. And sometimes they don't understand completely that until they become parents themselves. But how, I mean, without her having to say anything else, and how did you feel? What was the validation? How did you feel when, okay, she is doing this, which I've been talking about for a long time, and now it's benefited her?
My daughter is so much like me. I have two daughters. One's exactly like me. This one I'm referring to. The older one is exactly like her dad. But the look she gave me and the laugh told me I didn't have to say a word about, I told you, she knew it. But there was a moment because you're tired, we were up a lot. That there was just a flashing moment in my head that said, maybe this is what all of this was for. Me going carnivore, me doing YouTube, me doing coaching. Maybe this is the moment to to help her. Because as a parent, and as a grandfather, of that little one, um, you never want to see him hurt. You'd rather it all be on you. And for that, it was like one of those spiritual and angel wings. I'm like, this is why my journey is for. It's for this one right here. But she's taken over that journey. She's on her own. I can't tell you how much sugar she used to eat. Oh my gosh. You're on mute. You're muted.
I am sorry. I was trying to
Super
avoid
chat.
my dog barking in the background. Uh, so I'm very happy because, and I haven't met her, haven't had the pleasure, but she's not suffering, which is what, I mean, if you hear that story, the main thing, it's suffering. You're getting pain, you're having to work around in your life thinking about the bathroom. And if you've heard Dr. Hampton talk about that situation himself, sometimes he would have to schedule the timing of a talk, and the first thing he would look for is where is the bathroom if I have
Hmm.
to run. And it can be quite disabling sometimes, certainly.
Absolutely. And
So
and the
I'm glad
difference,
that she's found a way, and hopefully she stays the course. Go ahead.
I don't think she'll ever change. At first I thought she'll give this a try. She literally ate pasta like 24/7 and sugar, 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 sugar. Um, but I really think, and that's always been her decision. But I see her months later and she never went through any type of, you can't hear me? Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me? Can you put in the chat? Can you guys hear me? Hopefully they'll put in the chat something. Did my sound go off? I can't hear Dr. Nelson. We hear Juliet, but we don't hear Dr. Nelson. Thank you, guys. We can't hear you, Doctor. Uh-oh. Carniv, I'll just answer. Okay, I'll just answer because we can't hear Dr. Nelson. Jerry, it's just habit to fast. Uh, I'm not saying I do the 24, but on Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, and every Friday growing up, we did fast mainly 2 meals a day, and never have meat on Fridays during Lent. And I have given up something for Lent as well. It's more of a habit, and it's kind of personal, so I don't want to discuss it. I think habits are hard to give up, and hopefully that habit will lead to a change. But thank you for asking. Can you guys hear Dr. Nelson? I cannot. I can't hear him. I can't hear you, doctor. They can't hear you. Hi, Papa. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Strings and Bug. I'm just talking. Hi, Jonathan. I'm saying hi. Dr. Nelson, check your audio jacks. someone wrote, Lewis, help. Okay, Lewis, we can't hear Dr. Nelson. We need your advice. No one could hear Dr. Nelson. Juliet, okay. Doctor cannot hear the doctor. So what were we talking about? It was Jerry's birthday yesterday. Erin's Creator Corner dropped. If anyone else is interested, I'd love to have you on Creator's Corner. Dr. Nelson's probably like, Juliet, shut up. But it's just to support you guys and your channels and your growth, because if we just want to grow, all of us. Okay, my computer, yeah. We could end it, doctor. I don't have to go on and on by myself. It's up to you guys. Do you have any questions? You know what, Donna Ray? I don't think I'm always happy. I do find the oddest things funny. So if you watch the drop with Erin this morning, when I go on and say, "Hi, Erin," I am laughing. And why I'm laughing is because Erin and I were shooting the breeze before the recording. And I had said, "Oh my gosh, I'm busy. I'm tired." So I look like this, like, "Ugh." And as soon as the camera goes on, I'm like, "Hi." And then I found it funny. So I laugh at the weirdest things. I think that's it. Um, but I could tell you my mood's always much better. I'm pretty happy, except when I'm at my paying job, in case anyone's watching. Um, YouTube keeps having issues and you keep hearing about it. Just keep talking. Dr. Nelson will figure it out. Okay. Terry, you're awesome. Hi, Jojo. Grandma songs. So, does anyone have any other questions? Let's talk about coaching. So, those that are, looking into having a coach or being a coach, I know one thing I would try to memorize all the science and things like that. And I have been coaching just a little bit. I don't have a lot of clients. Now I'm doing the live by myself. I don't have a lot of clients, but through the gym, how I became a personal trainer is I met up with a lady, and she was a bodybuilder who won national competitions for natural, no, bodybuilding. And then she went into the like international forum or national, and steroid use is allowed. But I shouldn't mention that. We'll get anyway. So she's a bodybuilder herself. She met me and we connected. We really clicked. And she said, "Yeah, we don't need a health coach. We need a personal trainer. You have a background in that. Let's get you certified. I'll train you personally on training yourself and others. And you go study ACE, American Council of Exercise Professionals, and we'll do that." And I did, just because I liked her, but I didn't want to be a personal trainer. And, things, if you just let them follow the path, it turned into, now I am personal trainer, health coach. They will also be, it's local, Honey's Barbell in Springfield, Missouri. They're also going to be on my website. And I still can't hear Dr. Nelson. Anyway,
Actually, you can.
I'm going on and on. I'm talking about personal coaching. That's personal training that's turned into
That's
coaching.
okay. I was thinking I was going to have to just end it here, but thank you very much. Mitch just called me and told me what to do. He
Oh,
saved me.
yay, Mitch. I didn't know Mitch was on. Thank you, Mitch. We always get.
Uh, all right. I had this question. Did you answer it?
Yeah, but I'm. It's funny because I'm part Jewish and but as a religion, I was raised Catholic, because my dad's religion had to rule. I don't know. That was they're old. But so as a Catholic, it's just habit on through Lent, on Ash Wednesday, and then every Friday you fast. You don't eat meat. So mackerels, I just eat mackerel, lots of eggs, butter. I don't say I fast necessarily, but I try to be mindful not to eat the normal bacon, beef,
All
I'll have
right.
eggs and butter. So
Uh,
Mitch, yeah, thanks, Mitch.
all right. So there is a
Mitch got you.
question from Lizzie. Uh, did you have pain before carnivore, like bone or muscle pain?
Yeah, let me tell you, Lizzie, and that's a good point that I forget to bring up. I was diagnosed with osteoporosis. In my latest scan, I am now in osteopenia after being what we said a year and a half on carnivore. That's huge. That's huge. And like Dr. Nelson always says, when he says, "What are your bones made of?" We all say calcium. It's not, it's protein. So to be in osteopenia from osteoporosis at age 58 is a miracle in and of itself. Um, I'll tell you the
That means
pain.
you're improving, and we'll
Oh,
see
yes.
in a year or two if you know uh, what happens. But go ahead.
Yeah, I do things like rebounding to, to get that weight. I'm not a big cardio person at all, but 5, 6 minutes on the rebounder, the little tramp in the house to get some, power on those bones and tendons, and I do some weight training, which helps. Also, of course, the diet. Um, the other thing about pain, yes, and I chalked it up for years in my 40s, not a long time ago, bodybuilding world. So I was like addicted to it, and I would work out at the gym 3 hours a day, twice a day, for a total of 3 hours. Never missed a day. Sort of one of my, I think, total addictions at that point. Um, but wore my body out. Why I was doing bodybuilding like that is out of, I'm 5'9", 5'10" back then. It's not like I was ever going to be a bodybuilder, nor did I want to. That wore out in my shoulders, so I had a full rotator cuff tear, a bicep tendon tear. I had a displacement of the shoulder. Because of that, I had a broken foot, dropped the weight. And I had a lot of knee issues. My knees would go. My brother's an orthopedic surgeon, and even he's like, "Well, if it doesn't hurt, don't worry about it." And it wasn't until months later that Papa said, "I have no knee pain," that I jumped up and I started doing squats and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, that squeaky and crunchy's gone away." So I chalk it up to carnivore. Just I don't I could work out the shoulder now, not heavy weights, 10 pounds, on this shoulder. I couldn't do that. And I planned on never doing that again, but it doesn't hurt at all. It feels great.
All righty. Uh, now, I don't know if he's asking you or someone else in the chat, but I'll put the question up. Have you finished the PhD course?
Yes, George. I have passed the uh, one part of it, and I have one more part to go for my second that part certification. And I'm yes, I'll pass. Thanks for asking though.
All right.
Oh, Lizzie did bodybuilding.
You had a lot of frustration going to the doctor, your daughter, the story you've been telling us, because sometimes the obvious thing is not present in the doctor's mind. And we are trained, I've been a physician for 41 years. We are trained to assess the patient, get a list of symptoms, look for signs on a physical exam to find a problem, to find a disease. And then we are heavily trained on all the medications that can help that disease. And some people just focus on that. But, sometimes the answer is eliminate everything that you're eating, particularly vegetable and
Seed oils.
concentrate on fatty meat, which seems to help a lot of people, but that is not what we're taught. there is what do you get? So I don't want to talk about doctors right now because most people will have the same response. Friends, family, they will ask you, well, what about vegetables? What about fruits? What about fiber? Like fiber is this thing that is indispensable for life, which is not. But what is your response to them when they come asking you about that?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, regarding fiber, it's just a bulking agent. You see the commercials and they oh, take this fiber thing in a drink and it shows it picking up all these little germs in your intestines and you just poop them all out. And that's not reality, people. It's fiber is just a bulking substance and it could slow and wreck your digestion if you're having trouble with perhaps constipation. In Kiltz Health Coaching, we talk about a lot of potential reasons and the fixes. If your gallbladder and bile's good, things like that, sometimes it's we're eating a little too much um, protein, maybe not enough fat. But once you let the system know it's nourished and safe, the signaling gets corrected, you eat sufficient fat for your body, digestion becomes normal. You don't get, as a female, I was always bloated. I just thought that's how it was supposed to be. After a meal, especially for a long time, not just a little. I just looked like I had a little basketball, gassy pain. That's gone. And digestion eventually, maybe not in week one or two, but when you get rid of those plants, that fiber, especially fiber supplements, the body starts to eliminate very smoothly and readily. It takes patience and time for some of us, especially if we deal with any type of IBD, bloating, all those things that nutrition is really the cause of. So it takes some time. Sometimes people say, I'm getting diarrhea. It could take 2 to 3 months, not until you eliminate them, but till things just run like clockwork without worries. I think fiber is one of the most dangerous things ever, especially if you have any type of IBS, IBD. It just tearing you up, in my words.
Dr. Boss has a funny way of describing fiber. Fiber is just for farting. I'm quoting her. I didn't come up with that
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So uh, we're both in our 60s. I'm older than you. Uh, but what do you have to tell people who may be in the same age range, or anyone who's thinking of it, about aging and how, as we age, we may develop chronic pains and chronic this and an uncurable this other thing? For those who feel too old or too sick to start, what is the first step you would recommend in
I,
adopting
I
a
wish
diet
I
like
were
this?
on YouTube sooner, like before I discovered carnivore, to see the me before, because it's hard to just tell you this. So, at age, I'm going to be 62, it is not too late. What I do tell people I work with is if you are 5 years and you're not, it's not just aging. So you're 65 and you're have the aches, it's just 65 years of improper or not the best nutrition for you, for us as humans. It really is that simple. And what we've caused with our nutrition, because we didn't know. And those of you that are our age, you were baby boomers. We were told that, I want people to take the blame off themselves. First of all, we followed what we were told. Baby boomers are compliant. We listen, or we'd get the belt as kids, or some of us did. Um, but a slow change in diet, slow changes. So, week one, try get rid of the bread and get rid of the sugar, get rid of the seed oils. There's small things you can do that eventually, if you build on these very small habits that we take you through, that you there's no promises, and I am certainly not a doctor, and carnivore eating is certainly not a cure-all, but a lot of these autoimmune inflammation diseases like type 2 and high blood pressure and IBD and all of them, the symptoms can be greatly reduced or absolutely eradicated. And that's where we always start getting that diet right. And I do like to say, I know many people, even in coaching just the other day on a Kiltz client, this person had everything locked in perfectly. I was like, you don't need me. I'm like, your diet sounds wonderful, but the little habits of walking. And I know you say, I'm too sore. I can't walk. Start with lifting weights at your desk, gallon jugs, baby steps. There are thousands, and I know several personally that were over 400 or 500 pounds, and they just were able to make it across the room to start. And now they're walking a mile. I see it day after day. They're small, buildable habits that you work with someone or a whole community that will absolutely support you, help you with those changes. And it feels like a miracle, but you absolutely can heal from the inside out eating this way.
Juliet, we're coming to the end, and
Oh,
I would like to still have people that want to reach you. Where can they reach you? Um,
well, that is no longer my site, but that's okay. You just
no,
take that
okay.
down. I
What
am.
is your site?
It will be really shortly, and it's just as easy as CoachJulietEdens.com.
Okay, but this is your Instagram.
Oh, is it still? I didn't change it. I really don't go
Okay,
on Insta. I am mainly
okay.
on YouTube. You could reach out to me at Juliet at CoachJulietEdens.com. Um, I changed the whole wellness, changing the Facebook and everything because people more know me as Coach Juliet Edens.
What's your
So
website?
when it's released, it is Coach
Oh, you don't have it
Juliet.
yet. It's not live.
Yeah, it should be like this week. Coach
Okay.
JulietEdens.com.
All right.
And
In
the
the
email is
meantime, you
Juliet.
can
There we go. Yay.
find her as well on YouTube. And just
Oh,
about 30 seconds. What blood pressure medications were you taking?
it began with an L, and I don't remember.
Lopressor, labetalol.
Maybe Lepressor.
Okay. Anyways, thank you everybody for being here.
Oh my gosh, I love you guys.
And if you need to reach out, look in the social for Coach Juliet Edens. And you have a great day.
Bye,
Eat meat.
everybody. Thank you. Eat meat. With that meat. Thank you.